Besides getting this rather splendid 72-year-old Marconi Mark III camera up and running, work has continued with the restoration of MCR21. So let's take a look at what we've been up to.
Well, one of the things we've had to make is this scope processing unit. There's only a little bit of information available about it. There's a block diagram showing the contents and a photograph of the front, somewhat indistinct. So we've made one. There's been a certain degree of make it up as you go along. So this is the unit, the front panel, the back panel with the 3 inputs and the 2 outputs, and a space at the front where these BBC modules go. These were identified from the photographs and they fit in thus. And we're fortunate for these, because they are standard BBC modules, that we do have the original technical instructions, which makes this bit easy to fix and get going. I'll just park those out of the way. And there are the other 2 modules which go in there. Across the top are a row of key switches which enable you to set up just what it's going to do. The input selection, whether or not it's a clamp signal, there's a arrangement to switch in an attenuator. One of the useful things, because we're using standard oscilloscopes as our measuring tool, the triggering of a standard oscilloscope on a television waveform is a bit iffy. So in this unit there's a sync separator which provides line drive and field drive selectable on the switch here, that one, line and field, so that you've got something solid to trigger your oscilloscope with. This last switch is part of the measurement system, and it will provide a 1 volt square wave to the oscilloscope so that you can be some confidence over the gain setting of it. A further position there mixes the 1 volt square wave with the video signal. This technique was widely used in the BBC and became known in my mind as a Weaver box, and it's used by adding the 1 volt square wave to the signal. You can then turn the scope gain up and look at the bottom of one waveform and the top of the other and adjust the gain thus so that they just line up, and that accuracy comes not from the scope gain or the scope calibration but from your 1 volt square wave, so you can have some confidence that it's correct. This is the unit with the 3 modules plugged into the front. These modules look very promising, but as with everything of this age they will actually need servicing, so that is yet to be done. Another area is this section here where the trigger unit and the 1 volt calibrator has to be built. We're going to have to build those from scratch, and one of our trustees is busily working on that task. Another area I'm not too happy with is the wiring to the backs of these key switches. The wiring is thin, the key switches the tags are awkward, and in inserting the module for test into the aperture in the van, we discovered that there was a conflict where the wires actually were rubbing up against the top of the hole, so I need to redress all these so that the wires go underneath that lacing bar probably. More excitement. Well, we've been talking about the electronics, but a little bit about the metalwork, because for us electronic bods the metalwork is always the hardest part. Now, we only had a photograph of the front panel to go on. The rear section we've made up as we think it would have been made. So because these are standard BBC modules, there is an adapted BBC mounting frame in this section here. The side cheeks here we've had cut and made and folded to the front part simulates the BBC mounting frame, but it's been extended along here to the back. We've no information as to how the back actually appeared, so we've used 2 rails across here. These are ISEP rails, which was period for mounting stuff at the time, and you've seen pictures of the back panel. So apart from our inaccuracy in drilling holes and the various other errors that we've made, we're not too unhappy with the metalwork. And does it clear?
I haven't yet done that.
Yeah.
I'm going to check that.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
But but do you have any plastic wood?
I don't think so.
No, we don't have any plastic wood.
Not in this vehicle, it's only the genuine wood that we have, isn't it?
Absolutely.
What are you up to, Jeremy?
Oh, well, all I'm doing is reinstalling an old lock. When the vehicle was up at Ward Jones being repaired, part of the problem was that these beautiful old Yale locks from the BBC got dissociated from the vehicle. Here's the barrel, and the other part is in there. And in order to do the respraying and so on, they took a lot of fittings off the vehicle, and not all of them got back on it by the time we got the vehicle back. And this has just been discovered in a box of other bits, so I'm trying to refit it. The real problem is, as usual, that these things are all custom made, and the screws were really only designed to go in once, so I've now got to remake a little bit of wood inside there so the screw will take. That's it. This is metal skin, and then it's got wood underneath it, and the wood has been cut rather oversized for the hole it needs. So the screw is only just holding, or was probably only just holding when this vehicle was manufactured. There's almost nothing left there.
Do you think that's original wood?
Yes, that's original wood. It's quite nice, it's a hardwood. It looks like a sort of fairly teak, but unfortunately when the hole was cut, it wasn't cut as small as it might have been, and therefore the screw was probably only ever just holding. Basically, I've filled this area around here with some of the P38 body filler and just made a slightly smaller hole in it. But the other hole, which is original, is still oversized, so I will put a little bit of wood in it. See where the thing ends up.
So you've got the lock fitted now, have you?
The lock's fitted, yeah. And it's a matter of... No, that still doesn't want to complete its thing, so there's something not right. I'll just mark that up, I'll just scribe it.
Are you having to...
I'm just taking the striker plate back about probably 4 mil or so, just so that it will close the door nicely, rather than leaving the door out in that space. It's a bit of a fiddle. That's unlocked and that's locked.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, it's
Okay.
getting better.
That is getting better.
But a bit of grease on it, maybe.
Yeah.
And a bit of spray in the lock probably wouldn't hurt, would it?
That is definitely locking.
Good.
So better than nothing. And it means that we can keep this, which is a power area, away from the general public if we forget to do the other lock, which is this this square key lazy lock.
Good. Okay, that's not going to be flapping around in the breeze, is it now?
No,
Yeah.
it's better. We've taken the bodge out, which was just a mock lock. Right,
So,
that's it.
Finis.
Do you want me to do that again?
No. If you really want to.
No, I don't really want to.
What's this for then?
We're fitting a small strip light in front of the Jackfield, which was not original fitting but retrofitted in service. I've been looking at the early photographs of what I have of the vehicle, and ours didn't have it when made, but later vehicles did have it when made, so it was a retrofit, and ours was retrofitted. And here are all the bits. It's a sort of strip light arrangement with T 1¼ bulbs in there, and a bit of thin wire which disappears off into the works in the hope of finding 24 volts.
You've
Well,
got plenty of wire that end.
yes. So that light fitting that we looked at earlier goes along here to illuminate the Jackfield there. So we're hoping to pick up 24 volts off the supply to this module here that we've removed, and I think that must be it there, because there's a cut-off wire. Do you remember I said it would have been retrofitted, and that looks like the feed to it, but we need to ascertain that that is rather thick blue wire, comes from somewhere. In the original installation on the sound auxiliary unit here, there was a complete row of jacks along here, and we're working towards replacing them. So the idea is that you can pull it out and patch from one circuit to another, and there's another pair there, and one of our volunteers is kindly making up the metal plate in which these sit. So we can have a look at the inside of the audio auxiliary unit, and here you can see the two test fixtures we've had made. Each of these will have a aluminium bucket that catches the cord, so that the cords don't fall into the works and don't get tangled up in each other.
What are you up to, Steve?
Well, I'm going to mill out partly the chamfer on this bar, because the screws we've got won't go through the plate, and that means that when we use screws of the correct length, you put the box that will hold the cable in, but it won't screw down tightly. There's a bit of a gap. So the idea behind this is that we just take out a small amount out of the bar, and when you put the box on the top, put the screws in, it all fits nicely. So what we do is you just put the drill into the end of the thing and just gently touch the switch, and that should be enough. We'll try it by inspection later on the actual unit, but it's best to start off with just a small amount, and then we can always go a bit deeper if we will require. Here is the bar that we've just milled out the aperture to take the screw, and this is what goes on it. This is the screening box, which you can see holds the cable inside. The idea behind this is that when it's on the back of the desk here, all these cables don't get tangled up and it's all nice and smooth. So I'm going to now try the screws in this fitment to see if the amount of countersinking I've done on this bar is sufficient for the task. I've got two screws. We've now got one of our plates, which is over here. We had a design made up, and then the Metalwork people local to us made a batch of them for us. We found that was much easier because they were all the same, they all looked nice, and it meant that we could get on with other things. So if you can do it yourself, fine, but there are occasions where you use other people that have the facilities you don't have. So that should now go something like this. Oh, let's see what that was. Oh, there we go. It's easy when you know how. As you can see, that has tightened up nicely, and the screws flatten the countersink. So now I've just got to repeat the exercise with the other screw and see if it behaves itself. Trouble is, having fat fingers doesn't always work with us.
How come you've got a mixture of?
Yeah, that's an
illegal screw.
That's an illegal screw. Yeah, we don't like posi drives or whatever, or crossheads. So we'll see if we've got another. Okay. Okay, we'll try that one. We might have to hide the crosshead screw in there where it can't be seen. So I know but it's difficult because these are imperial screws. These are actually, I think, 440 UNC, which is quite a common standard in the 1960s, but nowadays, of course, most things are mainly metric apart from certain specialist tasks. So there we go, that's a finished item. You can see the plate's gone onto the bar and the screws are nicely recessed and they're smooth.
Where does it go?
That goes on the back of this desk here, and the leads go through this panel. These two screws fix it to the panel, and the idea is all these pull-out cords that we use to go on a patch panel on the top, they go back into this box when they're not in use. So that will go something like that, and it's screwed to the panel. And there's a number of these all the way along.
Yeah, I'm not happy with that one. Oh dear.
There's one, isn't there?
Yes. I don't know if you can see or hear that, but those two screws aren't quite tight and it's rattling. These countersunk screws, the countersinking in the bucket is fine, but the because they're countersunk screws, the plate here, although it has been partially countersunk, is just ever so slightly not deep enough.
Yeah,
So it's
because
like
we don't know how this was done originally, do we?
No, we don't. So what we're doing is we've done an approximation based on a guess, really, as to how we would do it. They didn't anticipate that a group of enthusiasts many decades later would actually be recreating this van to show people what the BBC and Pi did in the 1960s, because it's quite an innovative van, and it was the latest specification for outside broadcast vehicles and incorporated many facilities which hadn't been seen in previous generations. And hopefully it should go nicely. I'll try and get the screwdriver in the way so you can actually see the... Let's try that. Well, that feels a lot better. So we've got the... Yeah, you can see that now, that it's rigid and it's nicely done together. So these will have to be individually done just to ensure that they are right. There, that's ready to go and be fitted in the van now, so that one's complete. Right, so it means I'll now have to go through all these and do them again.
Final tighten up. It would have been nice to have had some form of retraction mechanism for this, but we weren't able to think of a simple way of doing it without perhaps involving sliding contacts of some form or another, and with these cords there is no contact or joint halfway along, so you know that you have a reliable connection. Bit of a faff feeding them back in, but only has to be done once. So there they are.
Okay, we'll demo one in action. I may just put
Yes.
them neatly back in, but there you go. Perfect.
Whilst we were recording the previous bit about the light on the Jackfield, we noticed that the other lights which are underneath the desk, which are used to illuminate that Jackfield, are not lit. So there's two of them, two of these festoon bulbs, and they're actually in series. So the chances are that one of them has burnt out. after a certain amount of fiddling around, deciding that neither bulb was open circuit, which was the expected problem, we had a look and found that this wire was somewhat open circuit itself.
Well, that should be on ground,
And
should it?
the other end of it goes to this distribution of volts to the lights there, and I can just see on there's a solder splat where it isn't soldered, and if I connect it thus, the lights come on, and interestingly it dims the other lights, which is interesting because
We shouldn't.
there's a great big heavy duty power supply somewhere involved in this that would consider this load to be so trivial it wouldn't notice. So there might be an upstream resistor on these. It's common practice on installations where you have a filament bulb across a power supply to put a series resistor in series with it. This has a number of advantages. It reduces the voltage slightly to the bulb, but more importantly reduces the switch on surge, because a filament bulb cold is very low resistance, so it will take it will have a surge whilst the filament heats up and obtains its operating temperature and operating resistance. So you'll find that in BBC practice and also in GPO practice, there is, for each filament bulb, there's an upstream resistor. That's the upstream resistor. I can't quite read its value, but it'll be a few ohms. And interesting here, you can see that it's been replaced at some point. There's probably a smaller one there that has cooked up the tag strip. Let's twist that. This soldering iron is in dire need of a new tip.
Yeah, it does look about half an inch shorter than it should be.
Well, that's tinned it. Now, looking at where it came from, I think there's a stub of wire there that was left when it fractured off it. Well, that's stuck on. Of course, every time the desk is opened and closed, there's a bending stress on it, and if it were done properly, this wire would be terminated under some sort of clip arrangement so that the stress didn't fall upon the actual joint itself. But it is what it is, so there we are. Take that out. Running out of hands. Turn the whole sound desk on. Look, there they are. Data. What more could you ask for?
Look at that, good as new.
Almost.
Good as new.
There we are. Job done.
Job done. And if you'd like to see MCR21 and meet the team, then why not come along to one of our events this summer? We'll be at the Camberley Car Show on Saturday the 8th of August and at the Amberley Museum for the weekend of the 15th and 16th of August, and hopefully some other venues as well. And if you'd like to share in this madness and you'd like to join our group of volunteers, then please do get in touch. Details are on our website.